Hello, and welcome to this series of videos in which we will show you how to create apps and portals using the Silver Essence platform. In this video, we are going to show you how you can use so-called copy actions. And let me log on to the portal here first, and then we will switch to the full editor. And I will introduce you to the problem which you can solve using the copy actions. So here we will go into the full editor and let me show you what the problem is. So here we are. We have the business controllers here in the portal. And from the list of business controllers here on the left, I'm going to select the service object. There is the service object. And let's say the customer calls and there is a problem with this service object and a service issue needs to be entered. We can check here, are there any other service issues that are currently open? And then we should switch to the service issues. And here we can click the create button. And then we would have to select the service object here, the same service object where we were just a few clicks ago. So it should be possible to create a shortcut, as it were, to enter a service issue directly from the service object. And that's what you can do with copy action. So that's what we are going to do in this video today. So let's go to the tab of the copy actions. And here you can see there are already some copy actions present from the simple CRM solution. Let's add one for our service management functionality. So we will give it a name and let's call it add service issue to service object, because that's what it basically will do. The user interface name will be add service issue. And here you can select a source type and select the single business entity. From that, it will build the next part of the screen where you can select a source. In this case, the source will be the service object. That's your starting point. And what you want to create, the target, will be the service issue. Click the Save button here and the copy action will be added. You can use the Save and New checkbox also, just like with the business controller, and then you would have the possibility to add one service issue after the other without leaving the edit screen. So the next thing we are going to do is we will add a so-called constraint, because we want the option to add a service issue to a service object. It should only be available if the service object is active. So service object.active should equal 1, and that's an integer. The next panel from the copy action is the pre-matters panel, but I will get back to that a little later in this video. Let's go into the transformations. And by adding a new transformation, I can show you what the functionality here is. As said, we had the source, the service object, and we can use a value from the source. We can use one of the properties here. So we will select the service object ID, and the service object ID should go into the service object ID from the service issue we are going to create. So it's basically drawing a line between the two properties. And because we will fill it in the background, we can suppress the field in the screen. So let's click Save to add the transformation, and we will add another one. You can add all the transformations you will need. So the next one we will add is the owner organization from the service object will go into the organization ID of the service issue, and we are going to suppress that field. You could also make it optional, or you could show it but as read only. You have different options there. So there are the transformations here, and then we will go to the next panel, that is the post methods, but we are going to show you that later on, as we will do with the navigate URL. We will get back to that later. So let's save and apply the configuration, and let's go back to the business controller. We will refresh the business controller here, and we will show the result. So let's hide the panel here on the left so we have a better view here. And let's open up the service object. And as you can see, the service object we opened is active, and you can see on the left a button, Add Service Issue. This is the copy action, how it shows up in the user interface. Now, with the extended method we have here, we will deactivate the service object, and as you can see, the button to add a new service issue disappears. And if you activate it, there it's back again. The function that hides that copy action, that was the constraint we added here. We said you can only use this if the active has the value 1. So deactivate it, and you deactivate the copy action as well. Now, if we click this, you will see the entry screen to enter a new service issue, minus the service object and minus the organization ID, because those are pre-filled with the transformations and we set them to suppress. Okay, let's not continue here, and let me show you another example what you can do with the copy action. So let's deactivate this service object. So you cannot enter using the copy action. But what if the copy action would still be visible here, and you could enter a new service issue, and the service issue would automatically activate the service object here. Now that's what we are going to do in the copy action using the same method that is available. So we have to get rid of the constraint here, so the copy action will always be visible. And there are two places where we can add the method. We could do it before the service issue will be created. So the service object would be activated, and then the service issue would be created. Now, if the service issue for some reason could not be created, then the update would fail, but the service object, is already active. Now, that's not what we want. So there's another moment where we can have the activate method executed, and that's in the post method. So if you put it in this position, then first the service issue will be created. If that happens without any issues, then the service object.activate method will be executed. So let's save and apply the configuration. We go back to the business controller, and Let's go back to the list and then it will automatically refresh the configuration here. We will have to use the filter here because the service object is now not active. So we're not going to click the activate button, but we are going to create a new service issue here. So click that button and we can enter it here. We have to select the service issue type. We have to enter a description. We will have to put in a issue date and we are going to use today, and we will have to enter an action date, and then you could enter some more information there, but we will just use the timestamp. Now the service issue is created, and let's reload the frame. Let's reload the page here, and then you can see the service issue is created. You can see that in the linked list, and the service object is activated automatically in the same action there. Now, we don't want the user to click the reload frame or reload page, of course. So that's another thing you can do with the copy action. You could use a navigate URL for that. How you can create and use these navigate URLs, that's what we will show you in the upcoming video after this one.